The Mediterranean is once again on the brink of war. After years of uneasy tension, the conflict between Rome and Carthage has reignited. In a bold and calculated move, the Romans launched a surprise assault against the Carthaginian fleet, striking before their rivals could assemble a naval force powerful enough to dominate the sea. It is a gamble meant to prevent another devastating Punic War. But neither power is yet ready for total confrontation. Both empires remain entangled in regional struggles that drain men, resources, and attention. In Hispania, the situation has turned dire for Carthage. Iberian tribes have risen in revolt against the Barcid family, driving Carthaginian forces from the southern peninsula. Hannibal himself met the confederated Iberian armies at Tingui and suffered a humiliating defeat. Yet Carthage is not without hope. The citizens of Carthago Nova have held their ground against relentless assaults, and Carthaginian agents have sparked rebellion in Córdoba, severing the Iberian army's supply lines and threatening to turn the tide. To the north, Rome appears more stable, but danger gathers beyond the Alps. Germanic tribes are pushing southward, testing the limits of Roman influence. The Republic watches closely, uncertain whether the Gallic tribes will stand beside them or remain silent as new invaders descend. The stage is set. Old enemies clash at sea, rebellions rage in Spain, and shadows gather in the north. The question is no longer whether war will spread, but who will be ready when it does. Welcome back to our Rome Total War, the board game playthrough of the Punic War. And we are now ready for turn 2. Neither Rome nor Carthage has kept gold in its treasury from the first turn. Once again, Carthage secures initiative with an 11. Okay, how should he proceed? The main question for him is, does he want to play before or after the Iberian bot? Well, playing after may help him reposition his army deeper inside his territory, and hope that he can fight a weakened Iberian army if they first roll for home region, but this will hurt his tax income for sure. Okay, he needs to lose less troops this turn. Let's do that. He decided that Rome will start the turn and play clockwise so that Carthage will play second. By doing so, the Roman player will be stuck with few expansion options if he does not want to create borders with the bots. And we are now ready for our second agent phase. In addition to the mercenary card he has kept from last turn, Rome draws a sabotage card with difficult travel, an assassination with epic envelopment, a double agent with run for it, a treaty with forced march, and a trade with difficult travel. Okay. Of course, he may combine a treaty and a trade to earn gold, but he may also target Carthage with either a double agent, disabling his agent and potentially preventing Carthaginian trade, or even target the Carthaginian market in Carthago. Okay, it is only turn 2. Let's be cautious. Treaty and trade will be the best choice at this early stage, building a solid foundation for the rest of the game. His agent in Carthago sails to Carthago Nova and then travels to Saguntum, where he plays a treaty card. The Iberian bot automatically accepts the friendly stance from Rome. His second agent then travels to Asturica, where he plays a trade. The Roman player rolls a black die and gets a blank. No pirate raids from the bots. The Roman player then earns 5 gold from that trade. But wait! Carthage plays a pirate raid here, stealing 3 gold and leaving only 2 to Rome. The Roman player then ends his turn selling the sabotage card and the assassination for 5 gold, and keeping the mercenary and the double agent card. In addition to the inspired general and the determined troops he kept from last turn, and to the pirate card he just used, Carthage draws an assassination with plague, a treaty with expert evasion, and a riots with regional revolt. No trade, unfortunately, but can he really complain? Let's start with the obvious one. Cut from the home regions after a regional revolt, the Iberian armies in Gades is struck by a new epidemic. It loses half of its HP and is reduced to only 2 HP, while the disease also spreads to Iberian army in Tingis, who loses 1 HP and is down to 3. Both reduced to less than 4 HP, none of those armies will attack during this turn. The priority of the Iberian bot should be to re-establish a supply line to the south. Then both Army 3 and the undeployed Army 4 would lack movement points to attack deeper in Africa. Okay, good, what else? In the north, the Carthaginian agent crosses the Rhine River to play a treaty in Tullyfurdum. The German bots automatically accept the friendly stance. The inspired general, determined troops, and regional revolt are then kept for later. And that's all for Carthage. Time for the bot. Let's start with trade test. Rome rolls 5 points and is able to trade with the Iberian bot, earning 5 gold. Carthage rolls 6 points and is able to trade with both the German and the Gallic bots. His black die rolls a blank, so the Iberian bots use no pirate raid against him. Carthage earns 5 gold twice with those trades. And now to the nasty card. Rome rolls only 2 points and stays safe, while Carthage rolls 0 points, staying safe as well. And now we move to our second taxation phase. With its 2 connected markets, Rome collects 18 gold, ending the taxation phase with 25 gold in its treasury, while Carthage collects only 13 gold, but ends up with 26 gold, slightly richer thanks to its trade with the bots. And it's time for a new campaign phase. A new campaign turn that Rome would have preferred not to start. The situation is still the same for the Roman player. He is waiting for a conflict between the Gallic and the German tribes so that he can start walking north, in order to avoid being the only target of a bot. So, for this turn on the north front, he may not move at all. Okay, what about the south? He could merge his 2 fleets into a full fleet again, but to do what? The merged fleet would lack movement points to embark and disembark troops, but he could intensify pressure on Carthage with a new naval battle. Let's do that. His fleet 1 sails from Syrtis Major to Mare Ionium, with the Carthaginian fleet not attempting any interception. Their fleet is deployed in the Tarentum port and sails to Mare Ionium as well, so that both fleets can use 1 movement point to merge. Being back at full fleet, Fleet 1 uses its last movement point to attack the Carthaginian fleet in Mare Africanum, where it rolls for blank and a wound. Ouch! That is the unluckiest roll ever. The Carthaginian fleet defends its left with a skull, a special, and a blank, taking down 1 Roman trimere. After that battle, the Romans are pushed back into Mare Ionium with only 4 ships. And that will be all for the Roman turn. Now to Carthage. Okay, he was lucky to be able to cut the supply line to the Iberian tribes last turn. Now he has an opportunity to crush their invasion and take back Tingis. The only thing that bothers him is that with 3 and 2 HP, those 2 armies will still be able to pool a full 6 battle card army to defend Themslevs. So, it will be 2 full armies on the battlefield, and he has replaced the good units he had on turn 1, the citizen spearmen and Hispanic scutari, with cheap Libyan spearmen. He still feels he was unlucky during the first battle. He has better units and could have won. But does he want to engage them with a Libyan spearman army? Well, he also has some cavalry units, still a citizen spearman. If he waits, he may hope for no Iberian tribes ending the turn on Cordoba, and Carthago Nova still holding, so that he can cut back the supply line again with a new regional revolt. But wait. Actually, if he waits, and if the Iberian tribes take back Cordoba, which is likely, the bot will not want to let an army on border, especially a weak army, and efficiency will take Army 3 and 4 either on Carthago Nova or on independent regions, as they lack movement points to attack in Africa. Then, Tingi should end the turn with no Iberian army. And he may simply conquer back the African region and its market with a regional revolt. Okay, it is decided. No battle this turn. He has a good agent phase with trade income, and he will regroup his forces after a disastrous turn 1. Okay. In the east, Mago Barca moves to Cyrene, where he rolls a blank and a wound, taking the region with no loss. Should Mago march back west, or should he keep a defensive position in the east? Well, if he wants to have a defensive position, he could also walk back to Lepsis. Hannibal then uses 3 movement points to move to Carthago, remove the unrest, and move back to Dimity. And that is over for Carthaginians. Here as well a very uneventful turn. Human players are just accumulating gold in their treasury, slowly building their forces, and looking at what the bot will do next. And we can now move to the Iberian bots. Absolute priority, the supply line. With 6 HP, Army 3 is the only army that can handle it, so it uses 2 movement points to attack Córdoba. After fighting for their freedom with a regional revolt, the Carthaginian citizens heroically defend themselves with 2 skulls, costing 2 HP to the Iberian army, who rolls 2 skulls, 3 wounds, and 2 specials, conquering back the city. The bot then retreats its Army 1 so that it does not stay on the border with 2 HP, while Army 2 may stay one region inside its own border with 3 HP. Finally, with still 4 HP, Army 3 will have another try on Carthago Nova. The Carthaginian citizens are on fire this turn. Carthago Nova rolls 2 skulls and a wound, taking down 2 more HP from this Army 3, who rolls 1 skull, 2 wounds and 2 blanks. That is close, but still a failure for the Iberian bot, who ends its turn here. Carthage immediately plays its regional revolt card on Tini, taking back the Carthaginian home region. That's also a very good move, as it will be 3 budget points less for the bot in the spending phase to come. Good. And now to the Gallic bot. Do they want to start a war with the German bot? They have only 1 border region, and the answer is no. Let's expand then. Trevorum then Visancio will be the top priority, then Massilia will score better than Octodorus or Nemessos, because it is insulated between mountains and rivers, and finally Nemessos will score higher than Octodorus. A defensive point against the German will be defined in Nemeticum, while a defensive point against both the Iberian tribes and Rome may be defined later in Lugdunum, once there is a true border between the factions. Okay, in any case that is too much priority for our 3 Gallic armies, as they will be constrained in their movement, and because the undeployed army is only a 3 HP army. So, Army 3 can conquer all the Rhinebank region, Army 2 will adopt a defensive stance in Nemeticum, and Army 1 will start a marching to the south but will just end in Trevorum or Alesia. Let's go. Army 3 uses 1 movement point to attack Trevorum, where it rolls a wound and a special, losing 1 HP. With 4 HP it can still attack Visancio, as it is not next to any foreign army, where it rolls a wound and a blank. With still 4 HP it can stand on the border but will use its last movement point to reach Lugdunum. Army 1 then marches to Visancio, while Army 2 adopts a defensive stance in Nemeticum. And that is done for the Gallic bot. Now to the Germans. With 2 regions at the border with the Gallic tribes, will it be enough to trigger a war there? The German bot rolls a blank and a skull. And that's it, the 2 bots are now at war. Okay, there is 1 army on the border, the Gallic army of Visancio. It will then be the first target. To attack it, for the sake of efficiency, the German Army 3 will conquer Octodorus, where it rolls 2 blanks, losing no HP. Then Army 2 uses its 3 movement points to reach Euburzus, to take a position ready to reinforce Army 3. And finally, Army 3 uses its last 2 movement points to attack Visancio. The Gallic army stands ready, and with both sides having nearby armies to reinforce, they can both roll 6 yellow dice on the battlefield. The Germans roll 11 points, inflicting 3 HP damage, while the Gallic tribes roll 8 points, inflicting only 2 damage and losing the battle. The Gallic army 1 retreats into Trevorum, while the German army gets back 1 HP because of its victory. The Germans then rolls for Visancio and get a skull and a wound, losing 1 HP. Isolated in the east, Army 1 will have to walk back to the west, but for the sake of efficiency it will walk through independent regions. It then enters Iater, where it rolls 2 wounds, losing 1 HP, then Patavium, where it rolls a special and a wound, losing 1 more HP. Reduced to only 4 HP, the bot army won't attack Mediolanum, as it is next to 2 foreign armies, the Roman in Genu, and the Gallic in Lugdunum. However, it can stand on the border and ends its turn here. What about Army 4, should it be deployed? With 4 HP as well, it could not attack any target. However, it could perfectly have the movement points to be deployed in Euburzus, cross the Rhine, and attack the Gallic army in Lugdunum while pooling its HP with Army 3. Let's do that. And this time it is 6 HP against 4 HP, will the Gallic tribes collapse? The German tribes roll a 9, inflicting 3 HP damage, while the Gallic tribes roll a 5, only inflicting 1 HP damage but at least not collapsing. The Gallic army then retreats to Alesia, while the German army gets back 1 HP for its victory. Then the Germans roll for Lugdunum and roll 2 wounds, taking the region with 1 HP loss. This second campaign turn is now over, and what expansion from the German tribes. They are definitely the biggest faction on the map. What will Rome do after that? Will they quietly try to expand in the few remaining independent regions? Will they go against the Germans, or rather attack the under-pressure Gallic? Well, at this stage all options are on the table. However, they should stay cautious that the German tribes do not grow too strong, as Rome may be next on the list. And we now move to our second spending phase, starting with Rome. First, for gold are used to build markets in Tarentum and Croton, connecting them with a free road. Then Rome spends 3 gold to develop Advanced Subterfuge. On recruitment, 2 Scorpios are enlisted into Marcellus' army for 2 gold, 2 Scorpios, 2 Velites and 1 allied cavalry into Scipio army for 7 gold, 1 Velites into Nero army for 1 gold, and 1 Italian infantry into Fabius army for 2 gold, for a total of 12 gold spent on recruitment. It is never clear for us if you can both recruit Velites and upgrade to the Marian deck in the same turn. In any case, Rome finally decides to invest in its navy by spending its 6 last gold to enlist 3 ships into Fleet 2. Rome ends this turn with no gold in its treasury, and we now move to Carthage. On the tech side, Carthage starts by developing Advanced Subterfuge and War Elephant, Quinqueremes and Mercenary Recruiter for 9 gold. Then on the building side it will spend 8 gold to build a barrack and a market in Dimidi, a market in Cyrene, and roads connecting Carthago to Dimidi and Dimidi to Tinghi. And now to recruitment. The Carthaginian player has to seriously think about how to take back Spain. Well, the strength of those Iberian tribes should be cavalry, so citizen spearmen should be a good counter to that, and for those noble fighters, let's hope his pony cavalry will be a good enough match here. The 11 gold are spent on 1 pony cavalry for Hasdrubal, an Hispanic scutari for both Hannibal and Hasdrubal, 1 Balearic slinger for Hannibal, and a mercenary Numidian cavalry coming for free for Hasdrubal. Carthage then ends its spending turn with no gold left in its treasury. And it is now time for bots to do their spending turn, starting with the Iberian bot. With 1 market and 8 regions, it will have a 11 points budget. On the building side, it spends 2 points to build markets in Bakara and Osca. There is now only 1 market left to be built, which will penalize the German bot. Then 2 points are spent to bring back Army 2 and 3 to 3 HP, 3 more points are spent to bring back Army 1, 2 and 3 to 4 HP, and finally the last 4 points are spent to bring back Army 2 and 3, the 2 armies closest to the enemy border, to 5 HP. And now to the Gallic tribes. With 2 markets and 10 regions, they have 16 points to spend. On the building side, 1 point is spent to build the last available market in Darioridum. Then 5 points are spent to bring back Army 1 and 3 to 4 HP, for more points to bring them to 5, and 6 points to bring Army 1 and 2 to 6 HP. And now to the German tribes. With 2 markets and 15 regions, they will have 21 points to spend and no markets to build. First 2 points are spent to bring back Army 3 and 4 to 4 HP. Then 6 points are spent to bring Army 1, 3 and 4 to 5, and finally 12 points to bring every army back to 6 HP. The last available point is used to add 1 HP to Fleet 1. Our second turn is over, and we can now start our third turn. Ready for a new initiative phase? This time Carthage draws a 6 and wins again the initiative against a 3 from Rome. Okay, what should he does? Okay, he prefers to have the Iberian tribes playing before him, and Rome before the German tribes, so let's do that. And we are now ready for our third agent phase. In addition to the Inspired General and determined troops he kept from last turn, Carthage draws a trade with Inspired General, a protest with Inspired General, a bribe with Serious Unrest, a bribe with Catch Enemy, and a rebel uprising with Inspired General. Wow! Did Carthage just draw all the Inspired General cards from the deck? I never saw so many. The problem is that those cards are so useful it is hard to sell. Now, he really has no more excuse not to march on Iberia. Okay, for that turn he will only use his Serious Unrest against Rome. 2 protests are sent on Roma, and 1 in Tarentum, costing 4 gold to Rome in the tax income to come. He will then sell his bribe card for 1 gold and ends his turn here, keeping the 4 inspired general and the determined troops. In addition to the mercenary and the double agent card he kept from last turn, Rome draws a riots with prepared battlefield, a treaty with expert evasion, a trade with disruptive storm, a riots with pirate raid, and a protest with expert evasion. Okay, he now must make a choice with who does he want to be friendly, the German or the Gallic tribes. On the one hand, the strength of the Roman army is infantry, which is also the strength of the German tribes, and he feels he would be better off facing the Gallic tribes than the German on the battlefield. On the other hand, the Germans are easier to access on the map as they have expanded too much in regions nearby Italy. Also, they would be a new and hence exciting faction to face on the battlefield. Okay, in any case, does he really need to use the treaty? He also has a riots and he may want to spread it to Carthage and a trade that would be direct income. However, the treaty would be a better long-term investment. Okay, first, his agent in Saguntum sails back to Carthago where he plays a riot, costing 3 gold in the tax income phase to come for Carthage. Then his second agent in Asturica travels to Cenabum, where he plays a treaty card. The Gallic tribes automatically accept the friendly stance. Rome then sells the disruptive storms and the expert evasion for 2 gold, and will keep the mercenary, the run for it, and the pirate raid. It is due time for bots. Both of our humans need a bit of trade here. Unfortunately, Carthage rolls only 2 points, finding no trade partner. On his side, Rome rolls 4 points and is able to trade with, let's say, the Gallic tribes, earning 6 gold with that trade. Time for the nasty cards. Carthage rolls 2 points, not being targeted by any cards, while Rome rolls 7 points and will be targeted by a double agent and a rebel uprising. The Carthaginian player decides that the agent in Cenabum is sent back to its capital. For the rebel uprising, the only applicable regions would be Lilybaeum, as there are Roman armies protecting Genu and Syracuse. That third agent turn is over and we now move to a new taxation phase. Both Rome and Carthage earn 15 gold tax income during that phase, with Rome ending richer for the next spending turn thanks to its trade with the Gallic tribes. And we are now ready for a new campaign phase, starting with the Iberian tribes. Okay, the only 2 regions bordering with Carthage are Carthago Nova and Tini, and because there are no enemy armies on the border, the bot should focus on conquering an enemy region, with Carthago Nova scoring higher. Being the most off-centered from the front line, Army 1 would be the good one to try this conquest. The Carthaginian city defends itself with 2 skulls and a wound, while the Iberian bot rolls 2 wounds, a skull and 3 blanks. That is a new failure for the Iberian tribes bot, and it costs them 2 HP. With Army 1 reduced to only 2 HP, it is now time for Army 3 to try its luck. This time the Carthaginian city defends itself with 2 wounds and a skull, while the Iberian bot rolls 5 wounds and a skull. Finally, it costs the Iberian bot many HP points, but finally, Carthago Nova falls under the Iberian bot control, and the Carthaginian are wiped out from Spain. At least for now. For Army 2, the new target is now Tini. Army 1 and 3 will keep a bit of movement points to see how they position themselves at the end of the bot turn. Army 2 crosses the strait to Tini, where it rolls a special, a wound and 4 blanks, not enough to overcome the 2 wounds from the African region. That is a first failure that cost it 1 HP. With now only 4 HP, and because the region is next to enemy armies, the Iberian bot won't take its chance again. Army 1 retreats to Gades, while Army 3 positions itself in Cordoba. And that is done for the Iberian bot. Now to Carthage. Okay, first Carthage knows Rome will keep harassing him at sea, and he doesn't want to take the risk of retreating its fleet into an unprotected port. He knows Rome has recruited more ships in the last spending phase and he wants to trigger a first battle, his yellow dice versus the green Roman ones, before the 2 Roman fleets are once again merged. Fleet 1 then sails to Mare Ionium where it rolls a wound, a special and a skull, beating the Roman trimers who roll 3 wounds and a blank. Both fleets lose 1 ship here, but Carthage is the winner and Rome has to retreat. Knowing that the Carthaginian doesn't have the ships to invade him, Rome retreats its fleet to the Tarentum port. Carthage decides to keep its fleet patrolling the Ionium. Rome will not be able to merge its fleets, and if he wants to sail out of Tarentum, he will have to face the 2 Carthaginian Quinqueremes left. Mago then uses all of his movement points to reach Carthago and perform one police action there, reducing unrest. It is now time for the Battle of the Strait. Hasdrubal uses 1 movement point to position himself in Tinghi, while Hannibal uses 2 movement points to reach Gades and attack the Iberian tribes. Okay, it is time for a full-scale battle, and we will need to reveal the 3 Iberian armies. All of those armies will be revealed from the 0 to 1 terrain element list, from the turn 3 to 4 sublist. Mutin ambush will be secured in any case, and we will consider secure flanks has been developed if the first army draws it. Let's start with the army in Gades, first rolling for the general stars, then for the army composition. We roll 4 points, hence a 3-star general, and 8 points, hence an army composed with 1 Eravasi painted warrior, 1 Lusitani guerrilla warrior, 1 Scutari spearman, 1 noble fighter, 1 veteran Cantabrian cavalry, 1 veteran Celtiberian cavalry, and 2 Iberian light cavalry. Because of its 4 HP, the army needs to remove 2 main battle cards, the Eravasi painted warrior and the Scutari spearman. Also, the Iberian bot not yet developed secure flanks. For Army 1, we roll 3 points for the general, so a 3-star again, and 5 points for the army composition, so 2 Eravasi painted warrior, 1 veteran Lusitani guerrilla warrior, 1 spearman, 1 noble fighter, 1 Cantabrian cavalry, 1 Eravasi slinger, and 1 mercenary Balearic slinger. Because it is a 2 HP army, 3 main battle cards and 1 skirmisher must be destroyed. The 2 Eravasi warriors, the Cantabrian cavalry, and the Balearic slinger. Finally, for Army 3 we roll 4 points for the general, so a 3-star again, and 9 points for the army composition, so 1 Lusitani guerrilla warrior, 1 Scutari spearman, 1 Cantabrian cavalry, 1 Celtiberian cavalry, 1 mercenary Hispanic Scutari, and 1 mercenary Hispanic cavalry, and 1 Lusitani javelin man, and 1 Iberian light cavalry. Because it is a 3 HP army, 3 main battle cards must be destroyed. The mercenary Hispanic cavalry, the Cantabrian cavalry, and the Lusitani guerrilla warrior. The 3 armies are now revealed. The human player operating the bot will be able to pool from the 3 armies and will have access to the full variety of Iberian units, with some veteran ones. Will it be enough to push back Hannibal? The bot rolls a die and gets a blank, having no action cards to use. On his side, Hannibal uses his weakest inspired general card, adding a 5th star to Hannibal for this battle. And we are back on the battlefield for the Battle of Gades. In this battle, Hannibal will march to liberate the Carthaginian home region, fighting with 2 Libyan spearmen, an Hispanic Scutari, a citizen spearman, 2 pony cavalry, and 2 Numidian light cavalry, including a mercenary one. In front of him, Culches will defend the recent Iberian conquest with a veteran Lusitani guerrilla warrior, a Scutari spearman, 2 noble fighters, 1 veteran Celtiberian cavalry, 1 veteran Cantabrian cavalry, 1 Eravasi slinger, and 1 Iberian light cavalry. Temporarily boosted to 5 stars, Hannibal draws a bad enemy timing, a cavalry screen, a forlorn hope, a skillful disengagement, and a fight to death, while Culches draws a flank march, a skilled deployment, and a fast start. Because the battle is taking place nearby the Mediterranean Sea, a major waterway is placed on tile 7. The Iberian tribes choose not to use their mountain ambush, so we draw only 1 element from the mountain stack, a rocky ground on tile 5. For this battle, tile 1 will be reserved for cavalry only. Culches will have to deploy first, and because of the 5-star and scouting expert trait of Hannibal, he will have to reveal 3 units. Culches deploy by sending his veteran Celtiberian cavalry, stacked with a light Iberian cavalry on tile 1. He then deploys his veteran Lusitani guerrilla warrior on tile 5, and his noble fighters on tile 2 and 4, with an Eravasi slinger on tile 2 and a veteran Cantabrian cavalry in the middle on tile 3. The Scutari spearman is kept in reserve for later. Culches reveals the 2 units on tile 1 and the skirmisher on tile 2, as they are both obvious. Facing this deployment, Hannibal decides to go for the long game. Iberia's fate will not be decided in this battle. There is a lot of units on each side, and what he wants is to slowly progress north, inflicting as much damage as he can and trying to preserve his units. For the charge, he will definitely avoid the skirmishers on tile 1 and 2. His 2 pony cavalry are sent on tile 3 and 4, stacked with Numidian light cavalry, while his Hispanic scutari is sent on tile 5. To avoid keeping 3 units in reserve, a last Libyan spearman is sent on tile 6. The second Libyan spearman and a citizen spearman are then kept in reserve. Culchas reveals his troops and we are now ready for the fight. But wait! Culchas plays his skilled deployment card. He wants to swap. Well, actually, what can he swap here? The card clearly says you have to swap 2 cards, so he cannot just move a skirmisher, which would have been a useful move. Does he really want to swap cards here? Not really. So the card ends up unused. And now to the skirmishers. On tile 3, the Numidian light cavalry rolls an X and a blank, wounding the Cantabrian cavalry, while on tile 3 the mercenary Numidian cavalry rolls 2 blanks, doing nothing. The 2 Iberian skirmishers are left useless on the left flank, avoided by the Carthaginian charge. The impact of the charge happens. On tile 3 the pony cavalry rolls 2 wounds, killing the Cantabrian cavalry who rolls 2 blanks doing nothing. 1 kill to none for Carthage. On tile 4 Hannibal will immediately join the tile with his red die. The pony and their general roll a wound, a blank and a wound, killing the noble fighter that only rolls a wound, merely wounding the skirmisher. 2 kills to null for Carthage. Finally, on the rocky ground the Hispanic scutari rolls a skull while the Lusitani guerrilla warrior rolls a special, both units killing each other. 3-1 for Carthage. The charge is now over and the remaining skirmishers may leave the battlefield. They have played their part. Culchas immediately uses his flank march to send his scutari spearman unit on tile 7. But wait! Hannibal blocks that deployment with his bad enemy timing card. The scutari spearman is blocked from joining the fight and will stay unused out of the battlefield. Hannibal then deploys his Libyan spearman in front of the noble fighter, fixing him in a fight, and his citizen spearman on tile 5, while that one is useless but okay. In exploitation, 1 pony cavalry stays in support, while the one with Hannibal goes for flanking. On tile 1, the Celtiberian cavalry also flank the Libyan spearmen. Okay, all the melee will be resolved around this last fight on tile 2. With his 5 stars, Hannibal should have initiative here, but wait! Culchas plays his fast start so that he can activate his Celtiberian cavalry as a support on tile 1. If he can destroy the Libyan spearmen, he would free his noble fighter from the pressure of the 2 pony. He wouldn't avoid a defeat, but he would avoid a collapse here. Culchas joins the tile for this last chance charge and rolls 2 wounds and a blank, destroying the spearmen. 3 kills to 2 for Carthage and the battle is over. Culchas disorderly retreats with the Iberian survivors, while Hannibal is able to regroup his lost Hispanic scutari. The citizen spearman is upgraded to veteran status while Hannibal rolls for upgrade and gets a blank, staying a 4-star general. The bot can still be relieved as his fast start saved it from a certain collapse. Back on the campaign map, Culchas retreats to Numantia, with only 2 main battle cards left. With that simple victory, Carthage scores 1 victory point. Hannibal now must roll to liberate Gades and he rolls a wound and a blank, losing no unit here. Hasdrubal then uses his second movement point to cross the strait to Gades, while Hannibal uses his last movement point to attack the Iberian bot Army 1 in Córdoba. Once again, Hannibal plays an inspired general card, gaining 1 more star for the battle to come. The human player is thinking, should he retreat here? Even in the case of a simple victory, Iberian armies may collapse as they are currently reduced to very few main battle cards. Also, Hannibal just used an inspired general card. It may be better to attempt a retreat and let this card be wasted. The young Celtiberian Prince Alucio rolls his green die against Hannibal's red one. With a blank against a wound, he is not able to escape and will have to fight on the battlefield. And we are back on the battlefield for the Battle of Córdoba. For this second battle, Hannibal will lead almost the same army than previously, but the citizen spearman is now a veteran and the Libyan spearman has been replaced by an Hispanic cavalry. In front of him, the three Iberian armies have pooled their troops into an army led by the young Celtiberian prince Lucio. This last stand army includes 2 Scutari spearmen, 1 noble fighter, 2 Celtiberian cavalry including a veteran 1 mercenary Hispanic Scutari, 1 Aravasi slinger and 1 light Iberian cavalry. With his 5 stars, Hannibal draws tough it out, run amok, dedicated bodyguards, rally the troops and unreliable allies. In front of him, Lucio draws target enemy general, seize initiative and fight to death. Because we are still nearby the Mediterranean Sea, a major waterway is placed on tile 7. We draw a forest terrain element and we get a forest on tile 3. Once again, Lucio will have to deploy first, and once again he will have to reveal 3 units. Okay, frankly, that is annoying. Last time the deployment was a disaster for him, as Hannibal simply ignored his skirmishers on the left flank. What can he do? Not stack them? Then he is at risk of collapse before the melee. Doing a minimalist deployment, keeping a lot of units in reserve? Okay, this time the veteran Celtiberian cavalry is sent on tile 1, stacked with the Iberian light cavalry. Then the Aravasi slinger is sent alone on tile 6. Let's see if he can have a good use of his green die there. Finally, the noble fighter is sent on tile 2, the mercenary Scutari on tile 3, the other Celtiberian cavalry on tile 4 and the Scutari spearmen on tile 5, keeping 1 more spearman in reserve. Lucio reveals his 2 units on tile 1, as they are 2 obvious ones, and his Scutari in the woods, as it is in any case revealed by its cover. Okay, Hannibal is glad to see the mercenary Scutari in the woods. His Unreliable Allies card will be useful here. Once again, let's avoid the skirmisher on tile 1, and there is no need to send someone in the woods. Then he can just spread 4 main battle cards stacked with skirmishers on the rest of the available tiles. Pony cavalry, stacked with Numidian cavalry, are sent to tile 2 and 6. Then tile 4 and 5 are filled with veteran citizen spearmen and Libyan spearmen, while the Scutari and the Hispanic cavalry will stay in reserve. Lucio reveals his troops and we are ready for the fight. But wait. Hannibal plays his Unreliable Allies card. The Hispanic Scutari leaves the battlefield and will join the winner army at the end of the battle. And we are now ready for the fight, starting with skirmishers. On tile 2 the Numidian light cavalry rolls 2 blanks, while on tile 6 the Numidian cavalry rolls 2 blanks as well, and the Aravasi slinger a skull, killing the mercenary units. Ouch! Nice shoot! And that is 1 kill to none for the Iberian tribes. Time for the charge. On tile 2 Hannibal will immediately join the tile. Here Hannibal and the pony roll a wound, another wound, and a blank, killing the noble fighter who rolls a skull, killing the skirmisher. 2 kills to 1 for the Iberian tribes. On tile 4 both spearmen roll a blank and a wound, both wounding each other. On tile 5 the Celtiberian cavalry rolls a wound, but it is voided by the spearmen rolling a special and a blank. Finally on tile 6 the pony rolls a wound and a blank, only wounding the slinger. The charge is over and the remaining skirmishers may leave the battlefield. They have played their part. Time for playing reserve. With his 5 stars, Hannibal sends his Hispanic cavalry on tile 1 to fix the Celtiberian veteran cavalry, and his Hispanic Scutari on tile 3, ready to flank or provide support. Lucio can place 1 reserve spearman, but where? Tile 2 looks like the most relevant choice, disabling 2 flanking opportunities for Carthage. The Iberian tribes will need a bit of luck with the dice if they want to survive this melee. During exploitation, the pony cavalry on tile 6 move to flank the Celtiberian one. With his 5 stars, Hannibal should start, but wait. Lucio plays his Seize Initiative card. He will be able to choose the next 2 moves. First, let's try to free his Celtiberian cavalry from flanking. On tile 5 the Celtiberian rolls a X, wounding the Libyan spearman who rolls a blank and a wound, wounding the Celtiberian as well. Okay, that is a failure. On tile 4, the veteran citizen spearman is already wounded. Let's try to kill him before the Scutari can roll for support. Here the Scutari spearman rolls a wound and a blank, while the citizen spearman rolls a wound and a skull, both units killing each other. 3 kills to 2. Okay, Hannibal has not used his tough it out yet, as he would prefer to protect his general Hannibal if needed. Let's activate the Scutari as a support on tile 2. Rolling as support, the Scutari lowers its dice of one color and rolls a special, doing nothing here. Alucio then activates tile 2 where his Scutari spearman rolls a special and a wound, wounding the pony and voiding the wound, the skull and the blank rolled by the Carthaginians. But wait! Alucio plays his target enemy general card, converting the wound against the pony cavalry into a kill against Hannibal, but wait again. Hannibal plays his dedicated bodyguards card. A wounded Hannibal is saved by his most loyal men, and safely escorted to the woods, under the protection of the Hispanic Scutari. At the end, nothing happens on that tile. Hannibal now activates his flanking on tile 6. The pony rolls a blank and a special, doing nothing, and re-rolls a special and a blank, still doing nothing. How come? What a miss for Carthage, and now a defeat is likely. On tile 1 finally, the Hispanic cavalry rolls a special and a blank, doing nothing, while the Celtiberian veteran cavalry rolls a wound and a blank, only wounding the cavalry. The final score is 3 kills to 2 for the Iberian tribes, and Hannibal may regret not using his tough it out card earlier in the battle. The Carthaginian are pushed back from Cordoba to Gades, losing their 2 skirmishers and a veteran citizen spearman here. The mercenary Hispanic Scutari rallies the winning side, while Alucio can regroup his noble fighters, losing only a spearman unit here. After that battle, all Iberian tribes' armies are reduced to 2 main battle cards, but none of them collapse. Hannibal retreat to Gades, while Hasdrubal has to cross back the strait to Tini. The Carthaginian turn is now over. They put a foot back on Iberia, but they miss a huge opportunity to make the whole Iberian armies collapse. Now to Rome. Turn 3 has begun, and the map has never looked more dangerous for Rome. The Germans are no longer a distant threat. They are the dominant power in the north. They have crushed the Gauls, expanded aggressively, and now stand at the gates of Roman influence. Next episode, we'll see how Rome handles the German surge. Will they march north immediately and try to contain the beast before it grows even stronger? Will they strike fast and decisive? Or play the long game, letting exhaustion and overextension weaken their enemy? Or will Carthage use this northern crisis to reshape the balance of power in the Mediterranean? The decisions made in the next campaign phase could define the entire war. If you're enjoying the strategy, the battles, and the tension of this Rome Total War, the board game campaign, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. And tell me in the comments, should Rome confront the Germans head-on, or wait for the perfect moment to strike? Next episode, the North ignites,